I can't read the whole thing, but
we're still in the middle of business here.
All right. Well, it began with a chase.
It's business.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Amanda?
It's business time.
Business hours are over.
Oh wow.
It's funny because I'm just getting to work. Hey.
You gotta keep your socks. That's why they call them business socks.
What?
What?
Okay, so it started with a chase. I was going after Carmelita. I'm not sure if anyone went after Juarez or not. Or at least I didn't write it down if they did.
I don't believe so.
For
the Inquisitor
Juarez.
Inquisitor Juarez.
Because Jimeno had all her eyes with that other dude that basically attacked her family. And
yeah, there's a lot of hot pursuits happening, but
no one went after him, did they?
I said I was going to, but then they were shooting at my boy. So
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. God damn it. Evine, you're everywhere at once. Get on that.
I'm in a very specific place now.
Yeah.
I gotta check that
we all
level.
had a person. We all had our designated enemy or something.
Yeah.
Mine was the fire line.
Yeah, and Refulgi was fighting Vortelli.
I was going to double up on Vortelli and the fire line, but, you know. Yeah.
I got the fire line.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
That worked out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Came in handy.
Ah.
Yeah, and then Jimena's facing off against
the Inquisition.
An Inquisitor and his.
But
his
is he still dead? I mean, alive? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zombie was managed to escape danger because of his bodyguard.
Well, they sort of split. He was with Carmelita, and they sort of went in different directions. And then you were on the trail.
Oh, right. Juarez, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. I guess Jimena is in the middle of a circle of fire, which it contains her and the Inquisitor's men. And I don't even remember what his name is, but that guy, that evil dude with the chain.
Pretty sure no name has come out.
Okay, well, I think I just have evil dude with chain on here.
Only murderous intent.
I don't need to know his name. I recognize his face.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what you did.
You just gotta burn it off, you know?
Yep.
And apparently Vortelli had a thing with Carmelita because he got all upset when she died.
Well, you know...
I don't know if he necessarily got upset because she died, but I think because she died, he now lacks something that she was giving him.
Oh, well,
and he felt
you would know this fact because you know about Fate Witches, but they were married.
Oh, right. They had the same last name.
Yeah. Well, that is.
No, they didn't.
No. She still wore the Mondavi.
Right.
Sorry.
We did know they were married.
But yeah.
Or at least I've had that note for a while.
I haven't noticed that. I was like, I activated my pattern site, so.
Oh yeah.
I saw that shit, and I didn't care. Like a bitch.
You felt the link go limp when you killed her, which was then accompanied by Voritelli's bellow from inside the town square.
His nose.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's still alive too.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Shania made like some really thorough work of that tower that she was in.
Well, there's a lot of ex-soldiers that are gonna need either a mercy kill or a pretty thorough pension coming from that.
Because
none shall pass.
Yeah. Ricardo is uncharacteristically mad at the gentleman across him. They're wearing those black uniforms.
Oh, I forgot about that guy. Yeah. Okay, it's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like pissed off because he's on the wrong side. And who betrays the crows except assholes?
Uh-huh.
Genya is arriving at the scene. Genya, as you come down the stairs and see this, like you cross eyes with Ricardo, who gives you like a curt nod, but his attention is thoroughly focused on this gentleman. And I think you caught that tail end where he's basically telling his crew,
Get him.
yeah, this man is a traitor. He needs to go down.
Yeah.
As he says that, chaos erupts and it's an enclosed environment. So basically, you see Lieutenant Colonel Weinhardt trying to wedge her troops in, and she's barking and yelling at them to remember their training and not try to all go at once, because some of them are trying to wedge 2 by 2 into the door and are causing a bottleneck, and she's about to fucking lose her shit. Like you basically see half of her in the door frame, and she's twirling something that she's whacking people with, to basically be like, just do this proper. There's some icing getting thrown in there like periodically, and guns go in the tower, which is pretty. It's shitty. It's not great. Genya, you've heard that multiple times, but to you, it's akin as lightning struck inside a building.
Yeah.
When the dust settles, you realize that the figures in black shot first. So a few of the defenders have gotten wounded, including your boy who got hit, but he's not stopping. He's reeling back, and he's still calling for blood. Just as a couple of the loyal crows are trying to almost pull him out of the fray.
Mm-hmm.
This close to elbowing one in the face that's trying to pull him out. He's raging. He's ready to go.
Okay.
So,
I know what to do.
By the way, like, what is Evine doing right now? I mean,
Well,
Julia got a tower that fell on her, so
that's
she's
right.
probably gone.
Evine is at the bottom, but the last we check, I think Evine was going to go check the wreckage of the tower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just gotta confirm that kill. All right.
Double tap.
That's right. So, yeah, Jimena, you're trading blows with this bald, scarred Inquisitor and his gnarly spike chain. You digged him good, and he also hit you. So you sort of traded blows, and it looks like his presence is bolstering a couple of the Prophet Sword and Inquisitors on his side.
Mm-hmm.
He spits. You're not quite sure it's blood because he got burned from your stab too, so it looks like congealed blood a little bit, kind of gross. And he basically like looks at you and just like lets out a short cackle and says, once a witch, always a witch. I see you're keeping just as irreputable connections as you did back then. And he sort of gestures with his chin towards where Usha and Sebastian are.
What?
Jimena knows better than to turn and look where he's looking. She knows what he's looking at,
Yep.
and she doesn't say anything. So are we still sort of towards the edge of this platform, or have we moved more towards the center?
Well, you're near, so there's the stairs, right? And then you created your ring of fire around it. So the ring, because the stage is fairly large, the ring doesn't encompass like the whole of it. It's kind of to the side.
Okay. Jimena, when he says that, as soon as she sees where he looks, she's going to actually run her hand down her sword to grab some of the fire off of it and then whip him in the face with it.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Face shots, totally valid.
We'll have you roll your usual, and this will count as your approach.
Okay.
As you're grabbing the fire and you don't take the bait and look, he sort of grits his teeth a little bit, and he's like, "You should do your homework. Ask your mongrel where he's from. Some of your friends are not who you think they are."
Wow.
Still doesn't say anything.
Okay. So with that, approaches across the board. Retold, you're still locked face to face with Voratelli. He switched his sword hand and sort of rolled to the ground. I think he got a little stab in last time. You hear...
Yeah, he got me, and then I grabbed his wrist with the blade still in me. So we're still
You're wrestling.
You're still dancing. You hear a crack coming from his other arm, one you had grabbed previously, and he's looking at you. He's like, one way or the other, I'm going to enjoy this.
Well then.
My approach is to hold on to the blade, and if it cuts me, I don't give a shit. So, like, wherever I can get purchase.
Yep.
And then with my good arm, because I feel like he hit me in the left, like,
yeah.
Because if he's using his right, yeah. I'm basically just gonna throat lift him to pull him away from the sword, because I want to carry him to where the battle is happening as a symbol while I sing a Valkyrie dirge.
Fantastic.
So I would like a +1 for flair, and then use panache plus perform.
Yeah, yep, you got it. Roll it.
All right.
And then I got 8 to slap that guy in the face with the fire whip.
Oh yeah. Hit his ugly mug.
Zhenya is going to stomp her foot and raise her arms up and wrap everyone in this tower full of vines. Friend or foe, everyone is getting bound.
Everyone is getting vined.
Yes.
Like 2010 up in here.
Right? R.I.P. Vine.
Wow, yeah.
It's more like, everyone stop. I don't know who to fight if you're all yelling.
Proto TikTok.
So
Yeah, Tony. Yep. Let's go with resolve.
yep. Just resolve.
Warfare,
Okay.
because you're not being particularly discerning necessarily. You just look at
Everyone-
everybody around.
Yeah. There's too many people.
Yeah.
Woo.
All right. Marlena, Yvine.
Well, I mean, I'm going towards the docks where that ship was.
That's right.
I think as I'm going there, I'm basically gonna be looking for the first of any like friendly ship that I see on the horizon, more or less, because I'm not gonna just jump onto a ship by myself. That would be kind of stupid.
Roll me.
Oh, can I notice or something? Is that what we're doing? Is that my ship?
Well, no, you don't. You won't need to roll for this.
Oh.
You're making twists and turns because you're trying to follow your impression towards this ship. You almost trip at some point because that's a 7. Virginia, okay?
Yes.
You almost trip and you realize that there's bodies on the streets.
Oh no!
And I didn't cause them bodies.
Your heart stops for a second because one of them is wearing a guard uniform, but then you realize that there's about 4 or 5 more that are wearing the telltale red cloaks. You almost run headfirst into a mountain of muscle.
Okay.
And there is a growl and a spin, and a hand almost grabs you by the collar to lift you up, but when recognition settles in, it stops. You see in this alleyway some of the crew of La Baleine Blanche, apparently in hot pursuit of stragglers.
Okay.
And you're face to face with a very, very sweaty, very bloody Magnus. Shirtless. He's just like spattered in blood. He looks like a wild animal. And you get like a low growl, and then he's like, oh. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I almost you gotta give warning. Like, we're cutting down almost anything like that's coming from this.
No time. We have to go follow. I keep running.
Yeah, they went that away, and you hear from the corner the clash of steel on steel, and you hear the familiar sing-song voice of Ernesto being like, Magnus, I love playing with 3 men at once, but it would go a lot faster if you came to help me.
I try to explain as I'm moving along that there's a ship that they were supposed to be escaping on.
You start to explain as you're running towards the enemy, and Magnus seems to give up part way as you're rounding the corner, and then he's like, right, good, we'll cut these down and then you lead the chase. I don't need to understand how. So you do this. Okay.
Do I actually have a role though? I don't know what I would.
Well, roll me a resolve empathy.
Okay. I can
as you're trying to keep the ping alive. There's a lot of distractions. True to form, as you round the corner, Ernesto is what you can best describe as dancing. He's fencing 3 people in this alleyway. one-handed because he's a cocky bastard. And
haven't I seen this in Princess
his
Bride
other
before?
hand is holding his cigarillo. He's taking drags in between the hits, which seems to infuriate the three prophet sword trying to claim his head.
Mm-hmm.
That's my sword, Daddy.
Next week on Sword Daddy.
I'm on for this show. Tell me when it starts.
I'm subscribed.
Yep.
I'm on premium, so I don't get commercials.
Yep, that's right. Don't cut into my sword daddy time.
I was gonna wait till the season ended to binge it, but I couldn't. It's too good.
Just can't.
I don't care about your bullshit products. Get me more sword daddy.
I got 8.
Okay. Evine, I assume your job is to go digging.
Yeah. I'm gonna ready my bow. So
Are you gonna just like
and
shoot?
like kick the rubble, aim the bow, poke around.
All right. Let's go with a finesse athletics.
Can't you just pretend you're one of those miniguns and just repeat fire into the rubble till it's all gone?
I'm sure that's not how that works.
I don't know.
You don't know
man.
Evine?
That's true, I suppose. I don't know what she actually can do. I've never seen most of it.
I mean, who's to tell that you've seen all the arms Evine has?
Wow. Yeah, she just keeps all the other ones tucked in shadow. It's
You've
like-
only seen 2. That doesn't mean there aren't more.
Wow.
Doesn't mean there aren't 7 more.
I'm really not looking forward to the end-to-end boss, and it's just Evine.
Yeah.
This isn't even my final form.
The power level's over 9,000.
Right. This isn't even my final form, and then Evine puts a second hat on.
Oh shit!
Surely no.
So that's a 10.
10?
Yes.
All right. Well, Evine, since you got a 10, you're going to be going at the same time as Rethold. You're kicking the shit out of planks in there, and the whole time you're almost going in circle around the pile, right? Because you're keeping your bow trained on it. So
Yeah.
you're making work of that. And at some point, you're just apprehensive. You're like, there better be something under there. Better be something. And after you kick a piece of wood, you see a hand sort of poking out of the rubble, which makes you doubly cautious. There's
Stomp on
nothing in
like
it.
a cockroach.
Right? You kick around and you start to see the form of a young woman under the rubble.
Oh no, it wasn't her, and I killed someone else.
She did a body switch. It was literally just another body.
Marionette.
Well, you're doing this fast enough that you're gonna get to redirect. But yes, as you dig through this rubble, there is a dead girl there, but their throat is slit, and you don't remember doing that. That girl doesn't look like the one you fought.
Well then.
Again.
Someone.
Damn it! Of course.
I just hear Evine throwing like her arms up and being like, "Shite!"
Yeah. You feel the anger well in you, Evine, and then you remember pulling very similar tricks back in Avalon, so it's hard to get too mad.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
but
that's how it felt.
No, that seems that seems a reason to be mad. You're just like, ah, man, fucked up.
Yeah, how dare you?
I know it's fucked up
This is
'cause I
my
do it.
trick.
Yeah.
This is just
Your
like
own.
Naruto.
So with your 10, that is still a large amount of successes. There's nobody else under this pile of rubble. So I will let you redirect. If you spend those either to try to find trace of where she went or to pick a different target.
I think I'll try and track first. Just make sure she's not gonna pop out like daisies.
Well, you're tracking. You've spent all this time coming down from the wall, destroying this tower, and you're sort of checking around, and there is just the tiniest speck of blood. Just tiny blood splatter. It looks like somebody might have climbed their way back up. So you follow that track and you find yourself with that 10. I'm not even going to have you roll it. It's an athletics roll. So you scamper up. Don't even need that wood tower to scale up that wall. You end up above where the gun nests are, and you see the blood splatter at the edge here, and the trail, at least for now, you'll be have a shot to try to track it again, but the trail has stopped here. You're now at the top of the wall, which means you have a very good view of the surrounding area. You clearly see inside the ring of fire from where Jimena's fighting. You see Rethold wrestling with Voritelli on one side. You're above the tower, so you can't see what's happening within, but you hear the noise, and you clearly hear Lieutenant Colonel Weinhardt just trying to order some sense into these damn red cloaks that are not well organized enough. You also hear up ahead, stuff is happening in the streets. You hear some shouting, you hear some gunshots way in the distance, you hear the clashing of swords. Yeah, there's sort of a lot happening. From here, basically, the whole city is the oyster. So if you want to continue tracking past this point, there's a much wider area to search.
Yeah.
But you will be in position to do so.
Okay.
She had to come through here, so you can probably come up with whatever path she might have taken next.
Excellent.
All right. Rethold, you're grabbing that blade. Devil may care. Doesn't matter if it cuts you. And you're going to lift him off his feet.
So yeah, basically the breakdown is I'm given 2 dots just for lifting because I don't figure I need much oomph for that.
No.
Another 3 dots, or another 3 of the raises to maintain control of the sword. Because I'm trying to separate him from it, so he's no longer got it.
Yeah.
And then the rest 5 are for the actual intent of the approach to start instilling morale bonuses and negatives across the board.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll resolve these at the same time, because he's gonna throw his raises into this mix too. You do raise him up and manage to separate him from the sword. It does come with a cut because he leans pretty hard into it, especially when he starts to realize that you have more muscle on him. And the proacted fight he's not going to win it. So he basically leans as hard as he can to try to cut you as you separate him from the sword. So you'll take 3 boxes of wounds from that. He's now off the ground.
3 wounds or 3
It's 3
dramatics?
boxes, so not dramatics.
All right.
You're 3 steps closer in your death spiral.
Yes. Like, can I throw a headbutt in there to get 2 more to get me to that next one? No, it's okay.
Oh yeah, totally. You can if you would like.
Actually, yeah. Let me make it a little more dramatic. Just shrugging off whatever, like I lean into whatever type of further dig he's trying to give.
Yeah, totally. You see where he's going, and you basically throw a little bit more oomph in there. You headbutt. It does. The pain is what you'd expect. You've done this hundreds of times before, so you know exactly what you're gonna get out of it. But you hear a fun crack as you do it. He's in your grip off the ground, and you notice that his arm, which might have been dislocated before, is now somehow back in action because he's reaching for something in his belt. He's still not giving up the fight. Through the grip on his throat, he basically says, "You and I are devouts. I'm fully aware that one of us does not walk away from here. Even though you're a heathen, I almost admire that."
I'm just letting the ringing in my ears lead me into the song, because if he wants to prattle on while we're in the middle of this, that's his problem.
Well, he's from a different school. Yeah,
Sure.
That speech is slightly slurred because there's blood trickling from his nose and mouth at this point, but he's definitely reaching for a secondary weapon, potentially to try to shank you with it.
Well, if he's got the reach, because he's at a full arm's length at this point.
Yep.
I'll take that away from him too if we get there.
Correct. Well,
Sorry, I'm just imagining him going, now.
That was kind of the idea. It's just to be like,
I've seen that happen in real life.
Man, that would be me, my short arms.
Yeah, the guy who did it is like a 6'4" gentleman, and he held somebody underneath him, and he was like, "Yeah, you can't reach." There was an attempt. That didn't work. All right. Jimena, are you pouring all 8 of your raises to hit that dude in the face? Do you keep anything in reserve to defend yourself?
I'm gonna use 6 of them.
Okay.
I want to make sure that slaps him real good.
Yep.
But I'm gonna hold on to a couple just in case.
All right. Okay, so you whip him right in the face just as he's finishing his sentence. And he tries to spit his venom at you. You look at his big, ugly face, and it almost feels like a whip in your hand, right? Like you grab that fire and you can almost feel it. Like you can almost feel the recoil.
Yeah, because I can use fire and form it to things, and they just work like the thing that I form it into.
Yep. It almost feels like you're throwing like a bola of flame right at his face, and it hits him
Nice.
right smack dab in the head. He lets out a very satisfying yell. You can tell that he's trying to keep it contained, but
I hope it was really high pitched and wussy.
it's too much. It's real raspy. he does throw his chain at you at the exact same time, but with your 2 successes, you manage to parry most of it, so you get to tick 1 box as it clips you in the shoulder. One of the barbs gets at you, but you raise your sword and deflect most of the chain away. You see that one of the prophet's sword was about ready to join in on the attack, and now that his boss head is on fire, he spends that time taking off the cloak and throwing it over his head. The smell is very unpleasant, but very satisfying nonetheless. When the cloak slides to the ground, that Inquisitor is uglier than before. There's definitely crispy parts of his head and scalp. One of his eyes has seemed to have gone milky, and at this point, he spits on the ground and just like yells to the others, "Stop standing there! Kill her! You have to kill her now!"
Way too scared, though.
He looks like enraged. He pulls the chain back to him, and he looks like whatever composure he had managed to maintain up to this point is lost, right? He's ready to go all in on this. Okay.
When he does that, like when he turns to his dudes and is like, "Kill her, you have to," Jimena cracks the fire whip and just goes, "Do you really though?"
I'll let you add a little bonus if you want to sway them one way or the other with your next action.
Okay.
Awesome. Marilena, are you joining into that melee at all? Not that you have much space to do it. They're both in an alleyway. Magnus just ran into it.
I mean, what is it? Is the place I need to go past this
You
alleyway?
need to get through these dudes.
Okay. I mean, if they're blocking the way, yes.
Okay. So you rolled an 8. It'll take you 5 of these raises to maintain enough of a read on where you're going, not to lose the trail. So you want to throw all 3 into an attack? How are you going to do this?
Probably what I'll do is use my 3 to make to help Magnus's attack.
Okay.
Try to, like, I don't know, position people in the way of his meaty hands.
Okay. You make yourself a target because, believe it or not, like you still have a bit of finesse on Magnus, so you basically maneuver the target so that they basically have to spin and get in Magnus's way. And Magnus basically just rams into this dude. Axe up, and he just like tramples him. The axe comes down, but he doesn't stop. Yeah. Knee in the chest, and basically like he collapses the guy, and then the moment after, he's back to his feet, and there's a path ahead, and he basically bellows to you, "Get through the hole. Keep going. Don't stop. Whatever happens, you keep going. You keep chasing. We'll catch up to you."
Already doing it.
Ernesto gives you like a little salute as he sticks his sword into one of the other soldiers, and says, "Right behind you. Just keep looking ahead. If there's any trouble, yell. You know how much I love coming after damsels in distress.
You're a little too late for me to be a damsel.
Am I? That's a challenge I'm willing to accept.
Going to have to tell my husband about this.
Yeah? Do you want to arrange a meeting? Like he's yelling as you're running through the alleyway.
Only if you make enough of a difference that he has to. Continuing.
Yep. Keep running on. Zhenya, there's a lot of noise in this tower. There's a lot of dust. There's too many people getting shot at. You stomp your foot, and the tower groans, almost in protest. For a second, you're a little worried that he might just collapse. But instead, you see vines coming from the crack in the ground. It grabs a bunch of people. Unfortunately, the people from the outside cannot see what's happening in the tower, so they're still trying to breach through. And there's some people basically yelling like, I can't move, like something grabbed my leg. I think I can't see. I can't see what's happening. Most people have gotten grabbed. You realize that not every single person is, but
There's one specific person that I need to have been grabbed.
that one you were focused on, so that one has not escaped your grip.
Yeah.
The rest are very confused. Unfortunately, your boy Ricardo is also grabbed into these
Good.
vines. And it takes him a moment to realize what is happening, because for a second, like he's about the business of trying to hack these vines and get back into the fray, but then
I feel like one curls up and like shakes its finger at him.
well,
No.
he looks at them and how lively they're hanging on to him. Then he looks up through the smoke, like directly at Zhenya, right?
And she's just standing there with her hands on her hips like, this is not how we fight.
And then he looks and then looks down and looks back at Zhenya again, and then eventually resigns himself to his fate. And he's
Does he go
like,
limp? Like,
well, he's
Yeah, when you go limp, they let go.
he's still holding his sword, and he's still gesturing with it, because he's basically telling whoever crows are not stuck in plans. He's like, grab as many of them as you can, and he's trying to gesture towards the ones that are not stuck. And says there's a few of them who are free. Like, go stop them. Make sure they're subdued or killed. I don't care which. And he sort of looks back at you with like a is that better kind of look. He doesn't voice anything, but like he's sort of grabbing to the vine that's across his chest right here. Like he doesn't let go of it, but he seems to be begrudgingly accepting his fate.
I like the idea that someone's like, no, go limp, and they'll let go. Just
Yeah, it's
Right.
like the plants in the trap in the Harry Potter book.
Yeah, right,
Go limp.
yeah.
Just
Double
be
snare.
relaxed. Yeah, the
Yeah.
double snare. Just relax. They'll let you go.
You hear the click of a pistol as you notice the shape of your sister, unburdened by the plans,
Mhm.
having gunned the drop on one of these soldiers, and she's in her best commanding voice is telling him to drop his weapon. Don't think about it.
Mm-mm.
The guy is sort of crouched and raises hands like slowly.
When you said click of a pistol, I pictured someone trying to fire at her, but a vine had stuck itself in the barrel.
Right, just like a finger.
Zhenya looks to the traitor whose name escapes me at this minute. I'm not sure if we gave him a name.
I don't think that was.
I was like, you have a name for him, I'm sure, but she doesn't know what it is.
Yes.
And she's gonna look at him and just sort of like clench her fist and like thorns.
Oh.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, there's a muffled grunt as the thorns get into him.
She will let Ricardo go.
He looks and basically says, like, was that treatment reserved for me? I'm a crow too.
Mm.
Ricardo starts yelling at the top of his lungs, like, you discarded that the moment you walked away from our camp. Don't even pretend. Like, he loses his cool so much so that, like, Veronica gives him a look like, yo, dude,
You okay?
are you all right? Like, and that seems to sober him enough to get his volume down. And he finally says, like, just don't listen to anything this traitor has to say.
Zhenya sort of like walks through people and goes, from where I'm from, when someone you love calls someone a traitor, you listen to them first. And as you are wearing a black cloak and telling others to kill the crows, I think this is the treatment that was meant for you.
There's no more argument coming from him. He sort of looks, there's a quiet rage settling in him, and Ricardo seems to visibly cool off a little bit from that. You feel an odd connection to what you've done here, Zhenya. Like, you've invoked those vines a couple times. You feel really close to Matushka in this moment, and almost like to highlight that connection, you hear another bang, this time not from a gun, just what sounds like rolling thunder outside. And you hear the pitter patter, and it starts raining.
Wonderful. Just what we need. Yeah, so she does actually start releasing crows now that she can see who people are.
Yeah. You have some control over the vine, so you manage to release most of them. From outside, you see that the word has gotten out, so people stop trying to get into this damn tower.
This is not smart.
Yeah. There's a lot of cursing happening. You hear a lot of Ison and a lot of, like, interjections in there. There's the sound of blows being exchanged. There's a lot of berating happening. Be like, why are you even wearing weapons? You know that if we didn't have a magic Assurin in this tower right now, most of you would be dead. In a normal battle, that doesn't happen.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Well, she's mostly yelling at the Prophet's sword, it seems like. Although a few of the crows are also getting the treatment for not responding fast enough. So they seem to take it like they're getting chewed at by their mom, which is,
Appropriate.
there's a lot of downcast glances and yes ma'ams.
No dessert for any of you.
Right. All right. So, next approach. Bottom of the turn. It looks like most of the civilians have gotten evacuated from the square. There's chaos in some of the streets to the side, but not battle chaos. Funnily enough, the rain seems to calm things down somewhat. It's giving this like nice, pleasant background noise that seemed to get most of the crowd to, at
Not you.
least stop yelling and panicking and running in every which way. So in some ways, it almost feels like a boon. Evine, less so for you because you're at the rooftop and you're trying to spot like the trail of blood and you're like,
Oh, oh no, all traces.
Okay.
Oops.
Next approach, folks.
What do I see now that I've gotten past this?
Are you still trying to make your way towards the dock? So
Okay, but no one else is in my way. I just keep
Not
continue
immediately.
going, doing what I do.
Yep.
All right. What do I roll?
Same as
thing?
last. If
Okay.
you're trying to focus on where you're going.
Heck yeah, I am. I'm not sure what more I could do besides that until I get there.
That's right.
Oh, that's a lot of 9s. Man.
Nice.
It's not so nice, though.
Mm.
It's going to be a lot of wasted points.
Good for last weekend, not so great for this weekend.
Wait,
Exactly.
So is this courtyard where Zhenya's doing crowd control? Is it completely locked off?
I'm inside the tower, so yeah, I'm locked
So
off.
she was
from everybody else.
basically on like she's coming out of one of the walls of that courtyard, basically.
Okay, so no one in the square can see what's going on in the courtyard or vice versa?
So she was inside.
Yeah.
So basically like the tower, like that's interior. So think about like you got the courtyard, you got some fortification around the courtyard, and so Zhenya was inside that fortification.
Okay. And the access-
Jimena is still in the courtyard because
Yeah.
Right.
Jimena is still in the courtyard at the stage. You're still in the courtyard. Evine technically is because she's on top of the wall.
Right.
Marlena is out completely.
I was looking to bring my little show to whatever access point there was from the square to the courtyard.
Okay.
That was sort of where I was headed with that, to try and give that visual that there's a definite tide turn in the in the square. That was sort of that was what I was going with for the previous round.
Totally.
I want to maintain this as I head towards so is the WWE fire pit going on between me and where this entryway is to the courtyard?
Jimena bounces off the ropes. There.
No, you have to pull back a little
Nice.
bit to get closer to the entrance. So it's not between where you're going.
Okay. All right.
So
No, that's fine. Yeah, I basically want to maintain this as I move into that courtyard with Vortelli, and I basically want to prep for his next attack, because if it's poison, that'll suck. So I kind of want to just like steel myself for that. If he's got magic, I can nuke that, and if he's just hitting me with brute strength or a gun, then I'll just soak that. So maybe
Thank you.
I don't know. How do you roll to resist poison?
Resolve.
It would be a brawn
Oh, okay.
or resolve, depending on how you play it.
Yeah, what else would you roll with it? Though?
Brawn is basically your
We did
it's
give
both your
ourselves.
strength and your constitution. So if you're trying to
Can he roll convince to convince his body to?
basically is whether you want to roll con or will.
John gave us the new dots in survival and craft.
Survival,
So
that's right.
Yeah.
I got 0 in survival, but I got max in brave, or in brawn. So
Yeah.
I'll take convince, like Sally was saying. I got 4 in there. No,
all right, buddy.
yeah, I'll go with.
Nobody wants to work with my cells at work thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. I have a decent pool with brawn plus damage plus flare because I'm taking a different approach. So
Yep.
but yeah, maintaining. So
Okay. And you're maintaining at this point. You're not trying to cause direct damage to him. You're more.
no, I want. Oh.
Oh.
You cut out there for a second.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, I'm just because I want to get him to a highly visible area, so that because I'm also still doing the song, and
Yeah.
I need to get to the end of the song.
Yeah.
How weird to be stabbing someone who's just steadily singing in your face.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Well, your goal then becomes I'm going to keep stabbing until the song stops.
That's true.
And if you can't, then
Haunted doll.
yeah.
Do you want him to haunt a doll, Rethel? This is how we get haunted dolls.
We burn dolls in my village.
Aren't those called effigies?
Okay, so you're doing the same.
Yep.
Jimena,
Yep.
what's your game this turn?
So his head caught on fire,
Yep.
but he's still.
He's a tough fucker. He's ugly as sin now too. I mean, not that he wasn't before, but now he's particularly repulsive.
Jimena is going to attempt to rush the side of him that his eye is now all fucked up on.
Yep.
So it'll be harder for him to aim his chain at her. And also the closer she is, the harder it'll be for him to hit her with it because it's a throwy weapon. And she's going to attempt to just stab him in the everywhere.
Okay.
Pincushion time.
Finesse.
That was back of the face. That was what
Finesse, weaponry. Don't forget your extra dice for being a swordsman. Is that 6, Rethel?
Yes, or as JC told me, you do it like this.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right.
Hi, JC.
Hi.
How many have I got? I got 2.
That's right. I got. Oh, they're endangered. There's only 2 left.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, I'm mathing.
Yeah, well, this is the part of the round where everybody goes on a math project. Show your work.
Where you play with your math rocks to
Yeah.
the optimal.
We need an abacus.
Yeah.
I have no
That would
idea
be-
how an abacus
That would
works.
be oddly satisfying. I
always
used
thought it
them
was
in
just-
elementary school.
I always thought it was just increments that you assigned. You're like, yeah, this will be 5s and this will be 20s or whatever, and then you have a quick reference.
Oh. Yeah, never ever in my life has an abacus been explained to me other than they were invented in China.
Yeah,
That's it.
They make great toddler toys.
Bing, 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 bing.
I mean, I could use an abacus.
Like a real abacus. Actual.
I used them in first grade, and it was definitely more of a toy than an educational tool.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you mean you'd want an abacus in character?
No, like I set one up on the table. Count.
Okay.
But it exists.
But it doesn't really work as well as other games. Because you gotta. I mean, you could. I
So
guess.
I've subdued everyone in my tower, and the people I haven't subdued in my tower are being subdued by other people.
Yes.
What else does you need to?
Your situation there is pretty calm, and in fact, once Ricardo is
Well, if only I could just be like, Shinya, go get Juarez.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I can do that.
right,
Jimena got 9
nice.
to murder that guy.
Get on that murder train.
Back in
Yeah.
base.
Right, all aboard.
On board the murder train.
Goodness.
Okay. Yeah, this is quickly coming under control. Your boy is slightly wounded, but nothing too bad, and he's sort of taking control of it. They're working at subduing the black cloaks.
Mhm.
It's not gentle work, you quickly realize, and the animosity is not just coming from Ricardo. Like, you see that the other crows are also, well, some of them less so. Some of them seem more regretful,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them are, they're not. They're like, I'm gonna put your hands behind your back, and there's some definite some definite roughing happening.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're starting to funnel them outside of the tower, and keeping them together. Like, they're definitely getting hog-tied to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, your situation is pretty under control. Although when you step out of that tower, there's a ring of fire on one side of the stage. Rethold has Captain Voritelli by the throat and is pulling him towards the center of the courtyard. You see some pockets of battle still happening between the crows, the city guard, and some of the Prophet Sword, although there seem to be some members of the Prophet Sword on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Some of them have discarded the cloaks. Like, you recognize the uniform, but to prevent getting stabbed inadvertently,
Yeah.
they've discarded like the hat and cloak, and have sort of joined either the city guard or the carrion crows. But yeah, like, outside of that, most of the civilians have made it out. If you look up, you see a silhouette that reminds you of Yvine, but who knows? Maybe it's Batman.
Maybe it's
I
both.
was once a bat. No, just kidding. No, she was never
Right.
a bat.
There's a cloak fluttering in the wind, like at the top. You assume this is Yvine, but who knows?
Yeah. I know Yvine can handle herself. She looks at the fire and goes, "That's taken care of." I'm not going to cross that. That's not for me. And
Marilena is definitely missing.
Okay.
There's no Marilena around. Lavinia is still there. There's no crowds whatsoever. Most of the spot is empty, but she's still in the exact same spot. Hands,
Just
Hanging
standing there like
on her chest right now.
She is the doll.
Yeah. See, Hana doll.
She's looking now like away, like almost in the direction of the docks.
Okay. Have we discovered that she speaks Thean? Because for the most part, Jenya's only heard her speak Vodache.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Which
you've
Jenya
never
doesn't speak.
tried.
Okay. Well, I mean, Rethel has spoken to her.
Yeah.
Rethel doesn't speak Vodache.
Rethel has spoken to her. So yeah, if Jenya was
Speaks Thean.
around, you've seen Rethel speak to her in Thean.
Okay. Jenny's gonna hop back inside and grab Ricardo's hand and give him a stern face and be like, "We will talk after." And then kisses his cheek and says, "I have more things to do." and
Be good.
Yeah.
and hops off.
He tips the hat and then says, I will be waiting.
Zhenya is gonna go, and again, she will only attack those who are attacking crows, and throw herself into that melee.
Okay.
Real quick.
All right. So roll me Brawn and Brawl then as your approach.
Big bada boom. 1, 2, 3.
How many raises did you get?
Right, I got 9. Sorry, I was like, that was a while ago.
I thought you rolled.
I did. I just forgot to tell you.
All right. Evine.
Yes.
You know what? Evine, roll me a Wits plus Notice. Because you have magic Irish eyes.
Oh,
Why are they smiling?
Rolling 10s today. What gives?
Don't question it. Lean into it.
Calculator. I remember when I was in school that my math teachers were like, "You're not gonna wander around with a calculator in your pocket all the time."
Right? I got the same fucking speech. I'm like,
Me too.
I can't still do long division and all that stuff.
Joke's on you.
right? Fuck you, Monsieur Gagnon. You were wrong.
Who's laughing now, Mr. Castillo?
Laugh emoji, laugh emoji, laugh emoji.
Right?
I also
That I
don't
typed
know.
from my phone.
I don't know if it's because I'm too old or too young, but I just learned what core math shit was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And I was like, I
You mean
never
like
learned
that
that.
damn
That seems
stuff?
easier.
Yeah, the core is
common
what they
core
teach
math.
in elementary school now.
Oh.
It's the way they teach math now, and it makes no sense.
It hurts my brain. Deanna came home with it, and I'm like, I don't know what this garbage is.
Right? It's like, why wouldn't you just? There's a lot of they do a lot of things that are supposed to make it easier, but I'm just like, why would you do it that way? You just put this with this, and now it's a new number. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Common
you
core.
gotta
That's called.
separate these and add these
That would
together, and then
make
add
me
these
so angry.
together, and that'll make the new thing. And I'm like, but
I'll
Yeah.
be like, here, let
Why
me
would
show
you
you
do
how I do short division. Do you understand
I got 8, by the way.
8? Okay.
that? You gonna show
Um,
this to me just so I get mad? Like it's
No. Okay, so Evine, to your list of things you see at this point from your vantage point, you see Ricardo, Veronica, some of the crows come out of the tower with prisoners. You also see Xenia come out of the tower, exchange some words with Ricardo, and then barrel towards one of the melees happening in the courtyard. You see Rethold is moving to a vantage point like wrestling match style, like he's getting some good crowd reactions. He's maintaining his chokehold.
I don't have enough fingers for my raises.
All right.
Dagger.
How many do you get?
Whoa.
11.
11.
Use one toe, just the pinky one that wiggles around weird.
Just peeking from under frame. Yeah.
Just, magically have a sixth finger there and just going, fuck.
I have a helper.
Hello, JC.
Well, that's great. That's great help.
Hello.
Did Tony eat all of his real marshmallows, and that's why you're feeding him fake ones?
These are cold brew and chocolate dipped.
Okay,
I'm vegan.
I know.
I saw cold brew and what was that? Oreo and cold brew ice cream.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Over in Baskin Robbins.
I
Wow.
want that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm still working on the other ones.
I wanted it. I was sitting in my car and I considered.
If you microwave those marshmallows, they melt.
Yeah.
They turn into a puddle.
Oh, they're not good for s'mores. Sorry,
That's
Tony.
fine.
He ate it anyways. Like,
Oh,
he
hell
really
yeah.
didn't care. He was just, like, gooping up the mess all over the plate.
That sucks. We've definitely bought a pack of marshmallows that did that to make s'mores at some point, and I will never forget the look on my brother's face as he pulled his branch and it was just like runny, snotty drip of marshmallow at the end of
Did he
it.
cry? How old was he?
I probably 7.
Did he cry?
Nice.
It was
All right.
the moment that turned from glee to sadness, just instantly.
Poor thing.
And it just dripped everywhere. Yeah, Evine, on top of all of this, your eagle eye, as you sort of scan around and look for patterns and curse at this sudden rain that smells very nice, actually. Reminds you of home a little bit. It has that clean summer rain smell. But it's also washing away the track, which you're not too happy about. But
No.
as you pan and scan across the neighborhood, you see some figures running down some streets below, full tail. You're pretty sure that's Marilena hauling ass through the city streets. One of those forms, you're not exactly sure who it is, but one is clearly Magnus. There's, lots of hair, lots of
He's a whole lot of man.
Yeah, lots of skin showing. That can only be one man. Like, you hear some shouting and some tumbling. You see some garbage rolling over and some guy in a red cloak rolling with it. So that is one more thing now that you can see from your perch to inform your next step.
Well,
wait, just no
the
Julia.
tracks are gonna be a no go. Waste of time with
I'm
all this
sorry.
rain.
My things.
Well,
But I think I will take aim at anyone who's looking like they are, getting away from the others in the group. Like, I don't want to go at the close combat.
Sure.
Over with Zhenya and them, because that could only end in tears.
Well, as luck would have it, Evine, you can clearly see some red cloaks that look like they're running in the direction that Marilena, Magnus, and the third person are heading to. It's a long shot from here, but you're from high up. So
Exactly.
You're reasonably convinced you can just arc it down and potentially get a hit. Plus, you're convinced you don't even need to stealth it. They're never gonna know where the shot came from because you're actually pretty far out.
Yeah.
So you can basically cover their advance.
And if you
by
shoot
preventing-
into the sun, it'll be a fire arrow when it comes back down.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
If you shoot it into time, like you probably hit several people
Yep.
in different timelines and then come back
Mhm.
with their blood still on. That's how it works.
That's
I
how
hear
it
you can open the way to a temple too if you do that. I have it under good authority. But yeah, so if you want to do a
Yes.
finesse aim, I'll let you pull that trick shot.
Am I gonna have to switch dice sets here?
Oh,
Man.
But did you get too many tens? I mean, just kidding.
Still no tens all night.
Ow. I even managed to get a 10 off my last roll, which only had one stat.
I got 3 last roll.
Nice.
I only got one.
Jimena has the power of righteousness on her side.
9.
Not misplaced.
Always God in anime.
righteousness.
I have the power of the Lord. Jesus Christ.
And anime.
Okay, so you all rolled high. Zhenya, you barrel through some of those.
oh, I also had Riot Breaker on. Just
That's a given.
yeah.
You're going to break fights at this point. Are you killing folks? Are you knocking them out? What's
I think at this point she's just breaking legs. Like
okay.
she's just making it so they can't fight anymore. I've had too much good luck with Matushka today to not use a little kindness.
I mean, I know Zhenya throws caution to the wind. Are you pouring all of those successes to
Yeah,
break
she doesn't care what she takes.
all of them? Okay.
Yeah.
You'll take 3 damage total, just collateral, mostly because you're barreling through. But you'll break most of the fights on your path. You're basically rolling in and punching and kicking folks. You hear cracks like almost every time it connects.
She's not even bothering with blades. She's just legs.
You're not even stopping either. Like there's duels happening and you sort of swing by and clock a punch at a guy and you hear the crack and you're moving to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
At least a couple of times. You're not exactly sure if it's by design or not. The moment you connect, you hear like just the low rumble of thunder in the distance as you punch things, and you're like, that's the first time it happens, you're like, that's a nice effect, that's a nice coincidence. The second time when you kick and it happens again, you're like, I don't know if it's maybe a thing, but
I mean, I think out loud she'd shout, "Thank you, grandmother," as she keeps going.
which puzzles people.
Well, I mean, a new Surin, so who knows what the fuck
Right.
she's saying.
By the time you get to the last one, you don't need to throw a punch. You've knocked down quite a few of these soldiers.
He just falls.
And yeah, the last one just drops his weapon and puts his hands up, like he's looking up and he's like, I fine. I'm done here. I surrender. By then, you've left a trail of devastation in your wake, and you're not super far from where Rethold is having his showdown with Voritelli. So, yeah, we'll be close to that next turn. Jimena, you lock eyes with your rival get ready for your duel. There's one guy just jumps through the ring of flame, just outside. You see part of his clothes set on fire as that happens. He doesn't seem to care. Doesn't want to be in here anymore.
He's out.
That is not a thing he's willing to do. There's another one who looks. You recognize the crazed look in his eyes, right? And that one's a zealot. He's ready to go with his boss. It's the same one that threw his cloak over the Inquisitor's head.
Do not eat that. Sorry.
Yeah, so he seems ready to go with the ship, and he seems to be willing to make an approach with his boss. But that is until part of the ring of fire reaches outward and grabs him and pulls him into it. And you actually see Rodrigo, having finally somehow broke the spell over him, roasting this guy. It's actually pretty gruesome because the guy is clearly trying to get out of the fire, and a couple of times he steps out, and every time it pulls him back into the ring, like it just exactly into the ring, as he's just staying there like burning alive. The fear and hesitation in Rodrigo's eyes have turned into something else altogether, and he has like one hand outstretched. He seems to be saying something to himself as a mantra under his breath as he's keeping this guy there, and he just holds it until the guy just stops moving and collapses into a heap. Still in the ring, never managing to step out. With that, he sort of nods towards you as you're tangling with the Inquisitor, like, go for it, he's all yours. And you see the ring of fire sort of pull a little bit closer to the Inquisitor as he steps forward with it, leaving the charred body of the Prophet's sword on the ground. Again, smelling pretty awful.
Thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Yep. I will, if you're willing to throw danger to the wind, Jimena, I will let you finish this duel with all 9 of your raises. You'll take some damage to make it happen, but you're reasonably convinced you're going to be able to kill this guy.
Yeah, no, she's got no fucks. So
you sort of lock eyes with him and sort of sidestep. Now there's the 2 of you in this ring, and you raise your sword and do your best feint. You hope that you bait him, and there's almost an inner chuckle as you see him sort of take a step forward to attack you with the chain. And the moment this happens, you switch your footing, step to the side, and stab him right between the chest and gut. Yeah. Right at the center, right in the gooey bit.
Right where the marshmallows are.
And just to be sure, you just follow through full lunge with that sword move. The sword goes all the way down to the hilt into this guy, and you're close enough that you can basically grab him on the shoulder and almost lift him off his feet.
Rhea Perlman, oh my God, would you stop? Sorry. He was like sniffing
No
a power outlet. I'm like, you're gonna electrocute yourself, cat. What the fuck are you doing?
Wow.
Sorry.
I like how sometimes they do this, like, this thing has been around fucking forever, but I'm gonna fuck with this right now.
That's right. Jimena, raise your opponent to the sky.
Oh yeah.
Join me.
He goes up. He you almost find yourself like surprised at your own strength, Jimena, as you're basically like, if you could shove your entire fist down like and go through, you would at this point. There's like a zealotry in his eyes that just gross you out in those final moments as he, in a last attempt, tries to wrap the chain around you as you're gutting him. And he tries to pull with the last ounce of his strength. Like, you take one more box of wounds from it, but it does not deter you. Like, he just looks at you, and eventually the rage and zealotry just turn to fear as he feels himself weakening. The chain falls to the ground, his arms go limp, and he tries to leave you with the parting shot. Nothing comes out. It's just air escaping his mouth as he looks at you, and the last thing you see in his eyes before it fades is genuine fear.
That's nice. That tastes good.
He basically goes limp into your grip. Your sword through him, and he collapses into a heap.
Nice. Are there any other? Did all the other soldiers fuck off that were with him, or get burned?
Yep.
alive?
What about that one last guy that's still there? I mean,
Which one?
I thought there was another one.
Oh, that one burned to a crisp. Rodrigo just burned him.
Oh, wait.
The other one
There was only
just
two?
jumped through the fucking flames.
I thought
and
there were
left.
3 of them, but I guess that was the same guy. Never mind. Yeah, there's no one.
Yep. You're now in an empty ring with the body of this Inquisitor at your feet.
Yeah, as soon as she feels that he's like dead, yeah, she puts all the fire out. She like basically sucks the fire back in. Motherfucking
Rodrigo is right on the other side of this, and he actually steps towards Jimena without a word, just pulls Jimena into a hug, and there's definitely some choking up happening, as in Castilian he whispers, "I'm sorry, I hesitated." And like after a couple more chokes, he just says thank you.
after, like, it takes Jimena a second, but then like she just sort of, throws her arms around him and in Castilian she says, "It's okay. You still came through." And then they both cry.
Yep. There
Cry
is
in the rain with the charred bodies of their enemies around them.
That's right. Like a couple of fierce, fearing Castilians who just murdered a longtime enemy. Yeah, there's the moment Jimena joins in, there is no attempt whatsoever to hold it back. And Rodrigo is couldn't lose as well. It turns into ugly sobs like
This
pretty
is the time
quickly.
to ugly cry is
Yeah.
appropriate.
Cries in Spanish.
Yep. That's right.
I think Jenny looks over at the crying and goes, "Oh, it's fine."
Yep. All right. Evine, the rain is no obstacle for you. The thunder is no obstacle either. You basically see the shot. You aim at the target in the alleyway, and then, like a pro, you sort of lift your aim high and turn it to the side, like just enough, and you let an arrow loose that almost like arcs up and away and then downwards. Before long, like it's kind of funny because you're so far up and high that it's delayed, but you hear the muffled scream as one of the pursuers just lunges forwards and then just like eats shit. Like
Scream in the background.
yeah. Like almost like your arrow pushed him or her forward and just bowl over and skid into the alleyway. You see the other two immediately like go into like ambush mode, but they're not looking really in your, they're looking at rooftops, like they're sort of checking around, like they're not even close, right? You're right out in the open, but you're so far out, it doesn't even register that shot could have come from there. You'll basically have free reign to take a shot at them again if you'd like. Or any other obstacles in Marlena's way.
Nice. Ooh, cover fire from a great distance.
Marlena, as you're running forward, like you hear a thump, a yell, something falling behind you, like maybe like one corner away from where you are. And then you hear a lot of panic shouting, like a lot of like, where? I don't see anything. As there's like yelling, but
I just smiled to myself.
You're barreling forward. Magnus comes out from behind you. He's covered in garbage and like wood splinters. There's still like a prophet sword, like he's holding his axe, but he has like a prophet sword guy like in the crook of his elbow, and he basically is dragging him with him until the guy just falls and rolls, also covered in garbage, and he's just like powering through. You hear some more sound of metal on metal as you assume Ernesto to be fighting some more folks. Logic would dictate for you to continue straight, but on a hunch, you make a cut through one of the alleyways and sort of take like a side street towards the dock area. And as you emerge out of this alleyway, you're between a tavern on one side, with a lot of drunk people in front, what looks like a shop on the other, selling what looks like various trinkets, including what you think might be sea glass. But most importantly, you're out on the dock area. There's a ship in front of you, moored. You've never seen the ship before, and yet you've seen the ship before.
This is the one?
Boarding the ship are 3 members of the Prophet Sword, and Inquisitor Juarez. Hurrying up aboard this ship as you hear yelling and shouting and commands to cast off.
Am I like close enough to pull him?
Well, the ship is at the dock. You can try if you want, but you're gonna have to do that as your next approach.
Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna do it now, but
It's gonna be stretching your reach, but there's a chance you might be able to do it.
And if not, Evine can get him.
I wish I knew that well, we'll see.
Well, you're not exactly sure. as most things Evine does, she just saved your bacon and you don't know. So but yeah, you don't know how you got there. You're sort of in an unfamiliar area. This is away from the part of the docks that you usually frequent, but you're here. Just as the ship seems to be leaving port, Inquisitor Juarez is a hot mess. He's yelling and shouting, and you hear the crew talk about how they gotta reach San Cristobal immediately. So yeah, you managed to make it here.
All right.
Rethold.
Yeah.
Your hyper awareness into, I hope this sleazy fucker doesn't try to poison me, pays off, because he pulls out a knife, and you manage to prevent him from using what he was gonna use on
Actually,
there.
Since I rolled just brawn, I basically drop his sword and then punch his hand as he tries to stab me.
That's right.
Just
Take
no.
Yeah. So the poison is a no-go, which frustrates him. He immediately reaches out for another knife and tries to basically like hit your elbow with it.
Okay.
From your arm that you're holding. You'll take an extra 2 boxes because as much as he tries, he's not in a position to do this cleanly, and he misses his objective. But strength is leaving him as you're holding him up in a chokehold at this point, and he's sort of looking at you like he realizes where this is going. And although there's no more words coming from him, there's basically like you're gonna have to kill me. I'm not gonna stop trying, right?
break his legs. It's apparently Jenya's mantra today.
But you're now at full view of everybody. Zhenya has broken some of the fights, which means there's now a lot of attention on what you're currently doing. There's some gawkers even that are sort of disobeying the city guards and have snuck back towards the courtyard, even though civilians are not supposed to be here. There's some people who could not resist the allure and are, out here to see what the heck is happening. Some of the big wigs have actually come back out as well now that the civilians are mostly out of danger. General Cardozo is there. You see the governor, Ushia, is there with Sebastian. Sebastian sort of almost like daring anybody to take action against either of them. He's got 2 pistols and like a sword stuck into the platform in front of him, like, come and get it. Yeah, so you got a whole audience at this point.
I'll go ahead and shift 2 of those raises to take more damage and grab the knife and just drag it against myself a little
All right.
to push myself up to the next dramatic wound, and that'll set me up for my next. Still singing. It's a Valkyrie dirge, so if there's any Vestin nearby, they know that this is a song for his soul.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, you
imagine
take the next to 3.
giant singing man cutting himself with his enemy's weapons. This has got to be fucking terrifying.
That's right.
What's happening?
Pretty much.
That man does have sex with bears. Holy shit.
That's right. I can totally
Other
see
bears.
it.
Brown ones.
Yeah.
Now, all this is this all happening still kind of in the courtyard?
Yeah. Oh, you can clearly see it, especially now that the Ring of Fire is down.
Yeah,
like
At
you're
some
having your
point-
cry fest with
I'm
Rodrigo.
I'm at the edge of the square within
Yep.
sight of the courtyard.
Yep.
So sort of triangulated.
Yeah, at some point, like by the end of this, you turn around and Rodrigo and Jimena are sort of sitting on the edge of the stage, like kicking their feet and just like watching this whole thing unfold. Like eyes still all red and puffy from crying, but just being like, "Oh, this is cheddar."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So be ready for your big move. Next approach. There's some stuff happening close to the tower. None of you are really close enough to see it, but it's mostly just rounding up prisoners. It looks like a lot of these black cloaks are huddled and hogtied to each other and forced to their knees. They're basically like kept in a circle. The lieutenant colonel has to be restrained at some point because she's ready to go and beat them. Like, if you thought Ricardo was upset in that tower, she's like red as a tomato. Like, and
I cannot control her.
she more terrifying, like she stops yelling and screaming. She's just red with rage and is about ready to go swinging, not a word escaping from her lips. Yeah, so there's about like 3 or 4 crows that have to basically get on her and physically restrain her. You see, those of you looking in that direction see General Cardoso seeing that situation and then hurrying up from his platform to like descend and go calm this down. All right. Ready for next likely final approach of this conflict.
Can I try to get closer as like part of my move?
Sure.
But mostly I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out for him in the hopes that like him turning and acknowledging me will make it easier for me to reach him. I mean, it'll expose me, but fuck it. Fuck it.
And if she yells out, can I hear her?
Yeah, I'm yelling loud as I can.
All of y'all roll me wits notice. Well, Rethold, that's if you care, because you're a little preoccupied. But
well, actually, I think I might care, as I think I'm about to realize the missing component, which she's after. So I'm gonna roll for that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I see all my people but one, so
yeah. Oh yeah. Rethold is aware.
Hyper aware.
So aware.
Well, I'm very alive right now. I'm the most alive. It's great.
That's right. Oh, it's raining. You're taking the squeeze on prey.
Jimena got 6.
Okay.
Jenny has 4.
4.
6.
6.
I mean, yeah, I holler, Inquisitor Juarez! And, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like with the sound of that, if Jimena and Rodrigo hear it, they're like meerkats. Like, up, what?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you hear it shouted in the pause between my next verse.
Yep.
It's just clear.
It comes at a perfect timing.
Nice.
Rodrigo's head, just like you described, Megan, his shoulders don't move, but his head sort of rises.
Yeah, and like, I mean, assuming he hears me, and he better if they heard me.
Those of you with 5 and up clearly hear the words and recognize whose voice it belongs to. Genia, you got 4. You don't clearly hear what it says, but it's clearly Marilena shouting in rage at somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as he turns around, I'm gonna yank him with the thread.
And even though you don't hear exactly what is being said, like you just hear the yell, it doesn't sound. It sounds defiant, right? It's not a
help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know what I want to do, so.
Okay.
All right, what am I rolling for that?
Feed me your next approach.
I mean, I want some resolve with that.
Yep.
But I'm not sure what I would roll with it.
I
mean, it's
you have been
full.
Weaponry.
All right.
You're gonna wield it like a whip.
No. I know you don't understand daylight saving time.
She's like singing the sound over people.
Oh, I love the drama.
No, why all the 9s and 5s?
Those 14s.
Oh no. Someone's been forced into it. That's what's up.
Yep. That good face.
That chunky bean. So good.
Yeah, she's got the perfect, like, I love this and hate this in equal measure face.
I think Deanna's home.
Oh, good.
What was that?
Yeah.
That looks like 9.
9?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rethold gets to the end of his song and just tosses the knife away. And then because I've heard the shout, I pull him in closer and I go, "Where's Juarez headed?"
Where's Juarez instead of where's Waldo?
Yeah.
To the Cardinal, it doesn't matter anymore. You've made your move.
Cool. So I pretty much tracked that. Yeah, he's headed for the ship because he needs to go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And from that, I would like to use brawn or wits or panache plus convince to basically make this the show that it is and reinforce to anyone watching that this is about San Felipe taking care of itself. And I'm gonna crush that windpipe and drop him.
Perfect. Feel free to use whichever inspire panache, because this is a performance at this point as much as it is a display of martial might.
And take him with me means I apply all 3 of my critical wounds to his damage as well.
That's right. All right. Anybody else?
Um,
What are your approaches?
Zhenya is going to turn and sprint toward where she heard Marilena's voice. And if I can get there in time, she's going to take advantage of already changing the weather and the weather being on her side to either strike Juarez with lightning or at least the ship with lightning because it's already in the air.
Okay. Yeah. Getting there in one go will be problematic unless you bird it.
I will bird. I can be a thunderbird.
Yep.
Watch me.
If you bird it, I will let you invoke nature. That'll be a resolve roll.
Yep.
Let's go with the resolve warfare.
Warfare.
Since at this point you're basically going to be picking up a target and trying to hit it. Hitting the ship is probably going to be a lot easier because you basically have to cover ground and you can hit the ship earlier in your flight. If you want to hit Juarez, I mean, depending on how many raises you get.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to hit him, but if I can't hit him, I'll broaden it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the ship is probably easier to hit anyway because it is sitting on water, which will just attract the lightning.
Exactly. But he's on the ship, so if I can hit 2 birds, 1 stone, or 2 assholes, 1 lightning bolt, then I would love to.
That does sound like a LARP.
7, Tony?
Yep.
Okay.
I think Jimena and Rodrigo are probably going to move in that direction, but I don't know if they'll get over there because they're just people. They can't turn into birds.
Yeah. There's some ground to cover.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel free to roll me a finesse athletics if you're hoofing it.
Oh, no.
All right. Evine.
I'm here. I just couldn't get to the app. So she's going to still focusing on that drama unfolding, aiming at the same crowd.
Mhm.
Wait till the most dramatic and opportune moment to loose another arrow.
Perfect.
And I got an 8. Yeah, 8.
8. All right. Hey, you're on the same range. Okay.
I heard Jimena got 9.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Jimena, you and Rodrigo, of the same mind, jump off the stage and start to hoof it in the direction of the screaming. You make it through a couple alleys where you see some carnage, bodies strewn about, primarily red cloaks.
Do they
Lots
see,
of damage.
Do they see like a fate witch stabbed in the mouth? Because that would be great.
That's in the different direction. But yeah, that's a gruesome sight for another tour. So you start to make your way towards where you heard the shouting. Okay. Marlena, you focus all of your will onto the Inquisitor, and at a good time too, because this ship is leaving port. It's moving away, and it's starting to head for the open sea. You see some prophet sword atop it, frenetically, trying to hurry the crew up and getting away from this forsaken port. It's leaving the dock as you make your shout, and Juarez's eyes sort of whip around the dock side, like trying to find its provenance, and then they stop on you, sort of standing there. There's nobody around you.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically solely there. And as he looks, you exert your will on the strands. You feel the strain as you force the connection, and then you give it the yank of your life, which, under the powerless gaze of the other prophet's sword, Juarez is yanked over the railing, over the water,
Jesus.
and is basically pulled ashore onto the dock, where a few workers get spooked at what they just saw.
They're just like flies out.
You hear some
I went fishing.
superstitious like mutterings, like trying to not get targeted by the evil eye, as the Inquisitor rolls onto the dock as the ship moves away, leaving him there. He sort of rolls and rises to his knees. He looks at you. You're still a little ways away from him, but recognition settles on his features, and like fear makes way for resignation as he sort of slumps a little bit and sort of puts the hands like on his knees, and he doesn't even attempt to get back up.
All right, fine by me. I'm gonna make sure he doesn't die.
He's basically like, at this point, like he just kneels there.
I mean, I'm gonna watch him like a guard dog until the bigger guns come out.
Genya, everything happens like super quick, because you basically have to change into a bird, fly over the wall into the rain towards the sound. So you're doing this. Normally you have to think about it a little bit more, but
She's insane right now.
Oh, goodness.
You're operating almost entirely on instinct. You fly right over that wall. The air just like makes you glide into the alleyway. You fly overhead from two very terrified members of the Prophet Sword, who are still looking for a hidden assailant as they surround the body of a friend. And your eyes just laser guide on the ship that's leaving port, and you exert your will on it. You see a man getting pulled from the ship just as you're doing it, and rolling onto the ground, and just thunder rolls, and just the crack of lightning hits the main mast of the ship as it's leaving port, cracks the mast, sets fire to the sails as it's pulling away from it.
Good.
The dock workers abandon some of their goods and scamper away, just muttering about some evil omen.
This is some divine retribution. God,
that is some no bueno shit. And at least many of the sailors and dock workers want no part of this, not even to gawk at it. It won't even be good enough as a story because all of them are terrified they're gonna get caught into whatever kind of bad juju this is. As you fly above, you sort of do a flyover the ship, and you see like cinder and debris falling from
Damn.
the ruined mainmast, and the fire from the sail just like spilling onto the deck as people are panicking, trying to make sure it doesn't spread to the rest of the ship. You see that the ship is like pulling back, and it's starting to go slightly sideways as all the hands are trying to escape whatever fiery fate they might get from that.
Sorry for stealing your trick, Marlena. Or shit. Jimena.
It's a different type of fire.
Now I'm doing it.
You're hearing a lot of prayers to Theus as you sort of wheel around and fly back towards the docks, where you see the now kneeling Inquisitor Juarez in front of Marilena. He just slumps as if he's resigned to his fate. But yeah, the rest of the people on this ship will not go far.
Good.
Evine, as this happens, you see these two soldiers abandoning their fallen comrade to go see exactly what happened. They come towards where Marilena is now standing in front of the down Inquisitor Juarez. You see the ship on fire. You see the dock just clearing of people because there's some supernatural shit at play. Also, there's about to be some real ass murder happening, and many of them are just scampering away from it. These two Prophet Sword are now unsure of what to do. From the posture they're taking, you wonder whether they are going to make the decision to try to stop Marilena. You never give them the choice. As you notch one arrow after the other, and before these two realize what is about to happen to them, one of them slumps and the other gets pinned against the trinket shop.
Well, that's a different kind of decoration.
Yeah, both of them super dead. As Marilena's exposed back.
Hey, everyone.
Goodness.
Wow. The cats are all like feeling something here.
Goodness.
Yeah. Marilena is free from threats. You actually see Magnus round the corner. Evine, axe still in hand, just covered in random things. Ernesto is sort of following suit, and they sort of stop in the alleyway. Ernesto is sort of like smoking as he's looking down. Magnus like kneels and looks, and then he sort of whips around.
I was like, yeah, Magnus would have saw a fucking crow come out and strike a boat with lightning.
Wow. He
How
unfortunately
was that?
He unfortunately
did he miss it?
He missed it.
Oh,
Facing the wrong way.
Damn.
He
saw that raven come out and be like, whoosh.
That's right. He missed the portrait, but he laughs heartily at the result. So yeah, Rethold, back in the courtyard, you have a full audience, and the last remaining ounces of fighting from Voritelli. He has no weapons left. He does try to take a couple swings. It's mostly for form at this point. It's just making a statement. The last thing he says is, "You've cast the die. We'll see how you fare. War will come to San Felipe." But
Today.
these words are only for you as you lift him even higher and complete your song and
As I
tighten
s-
your grip.
As I squeeze after his last line, I just nod and I'm like, I just nod and I'm like, I am a warrior.
You're like, come at me, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's my business, and he doesn't know about the fucking Avalonian navy that we're gonna get.
No. There is something akin to respect in his eyes as you say those words, and as you tighten your grip, he utters one last, "So you are."
So after I feel him stop fighting, I drop him and let the body just drop. And then after that, like after that pregnant pause, I look over at whoever's on our team. Crows. Are any of the Labelle around?
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, to the ships. And I start hustling off to where I heard the shout.
Almost like it's a stage production. As you let go of that body and say these things, like the body seems to slump just dramatically slowly from your grip and collapse into the heap on the floor. And just at that moment, thunder and the flash of lightning in the distance and yelling and shouting the moment his body hits the floor, which around in the courtyard, there's a moment of dead silence. Even though it's a moment of celebration, there's sort of a, oh shit, that settles over the crowd. And then the yelling starts. First in triumph, and then over the victorious cries, there is a "to the ships," as a bunch of people start to haul ass. You hear the hoarse voice of your boy Jose yell to his guardsmen, "You heard the man! To the ships immediately!" And Josefina echoes that from further back. You see the grimy, dirty guardsmen sort of get up from whatever business they're doing and fall in step, rolling down that hill to start to head towards the docks. Some of the crows stay behind to watch the captives. People start to evacuate and get towards the docks. Marilena, we're going to go out of approach orders. Everybody is making their way down. The ship has burst into flames in front of your eyes. You hear a thunk as you slowly turn behind you, and two prophet swords that seem to have been poised to attack you are dead, pinned with arrows. There's a dumbfounded, then amused Magnus and Ernesto present there. In the distance, you see the form from the hair. You can tell it's Jimena just hauling ass through the streets. with the gangly form of Rodrigo.
When Jimena and Rodrigo get there and they see the ship on fire, she like turns. She's like, "Did you do that?"
Me?
No, like Rodrigo's like, I no, I did nothing.
Someone is stealing our stick.
But yeah, you are now. For how many people are here? Like, there's the laugh of Magnus, but the doc feels very silent.
I mean, I don't even try to restrain him. I just like keep my hands on my hilts and like, you try it.
He
if I don't do it, that guy will.
Yeah, give me any excuse.
He looks at you as you approach, and sort of shakes his head. Like there's a tiredness in him now, and a resignation. And
the rest of us are going to be real frustrated when we get down to the docks and there's no ships to fight because it's just sitting there on fire.
Yep. His hair is all matted to his face by the rain, right? Like, and he looks up at you, and finally, like after a long pause, says, "Is this San Felipe's response?"
It certainly seems so, does it not?
Well, someone has some
The
shit to
South
answer
will
for.
burn.
Perhaps.
My return or my death will not change that. Verdugo will not take this lying down.
That may be true, but that does not mean we are going to take it lying down either.
And then this is where Zhenya lands on Madalena's shoulder and like cackles and like does the quote, and then says what she said in like a raven voice.
Right?
I feel like Jimena, like in Castilian, would just shout something to the effect of like, "Verdugo can eat shit."
Yeah.
Please tell me it sounds
very,
like the Demon Slayer Ravens.
Yes.
Right. You arrive to this scene, Jimena, very winded with Rodrigo. Rodrigo doubles over. For a moment, you're not exactly sure if he's not going to fucking yak right there on the sidewalk.
Right.
Oh man.
Rodrigo.
Like hands on knees, kind of like looks up like, yeah, well, Verdugo can go fuck him, whatever. Oh my god, like.
I had a good line. Just give me a second here. Like, if I can just get to it.
And as soon as like enough people are gathered, I mean, I don't think it's up to me.
Wow.
What are we going to do with him? He says that the South will burn. Whether he dies or not. Well, actually, he said whether he returns or dies.
You know the position I'm in. If you keep me alive, I will never stop trying to get back to San Cristobal.
It's true enough.
Save us. Spare us the back and forth. You've made your choice. Finish it now.
I look at Jimena.
That traitor Mazabi is in league with you all, so he will fall down with this ship.
He is more of a Vetachin than you are.
We'll see how history is written.
Isn't it by
But
the
yeah,
victors?
I look at Jimena. I'm like,
Jimena is like, someone else do it. Make sure it gets done. Jesus, like
he's still on the ground.
I think Zhenya will hop down as a person and look at him and say, "This is my home now. And with that home, I will protect it and everyone inside of it." And then she just clocks him just to knock him out.
All right. Your punch knocks him out. He slumps to one side.
Picks up his collar, starts dragging him back to the square.
You
You meet the mob.
Yeah, basically, as you start to make back up, like you see a really fired up group of people just hauling ass, descending down.
We caught him.
Wrestled. You see this. There's a ship on fire that's going out at sea.
I'm not
drifting.
Not even surprised.
And is there?
I just sort of slow down, like I've crossed the finish line. You know, I'm just like, okay.
Walk it out, guys.
Yeah.
Don't.
Ooh.
You know, you're gonna get a cramp if you don't keep walking.
Yeah, right.
You get a roaring peal of laughter and then like just full on hug check from Magnus as you come down. And he sorts of points to the ship. And he's like, "How is that for a send off?"
I'm like, I don't know where it's going. Get it back. These fuckers need to stand trial.
They'll take care of it.
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
Don't worry, the Baron will go after it. They were ready to go in pursuit if anything was to leave port. So they'll this thing will draw so much attention, they'll be hard to miss.
When he fuck it. When he says LaBelle is ready to intercept, I kiss him.
Nice.
Yeah, just
Yep. There's like a hearty laugh, and he's like, "I thought you never attempted."
Oh my.
I start wiping the blood off of his chest. I'm like,
oh, so you do have sex with bears.
Just this bear.
He Magnus sort of like gives a glance to Ernesto, who's sort of like, looking with the cigarillo, and he's like,
"Do you see that? Raven?
You prissy Southerners don't have you have not cornered the market on good man-to-man love. You could learn a thing or two." Ernesto's like, "No doubt."
Well then.
But yeah, there's the battle lust sort of fades into cheers. There's some apprehension as people sort of realize what kind of message this is sending. More of the ship is sort of going up in flames right now, and one Inquisitor has been knocked out, his fate yet to be determined. Do you make your way back to the back to the courtyard up top?
Yeah, I think we'd make our way back up to the square in the courtyard to give relief to the people who stayed behind. Mostly moral support for the people who are technically in charge, since we're just the goons.
I was like, if Zhenya comes across like Jose and Josefina, she's gonna like deposit Juarez on them and be like, "You take them back."
Yeah, because people who care more than Rethold are like, no, evidence was brought forth. He attempted to flee. He had conspirators. This is how this works. And history is written by the victors. And motherfuckers, we won. So
there is there is enough to kill him right here on the spot. But Jose is given the burden, and he grabs Juarez and basically just says, "Gladly, we've got it from here." And he sort of turns around and clears his throat and basically delegates this as he's like, "Make sure you lock him below more secure facilities that we have. No windows. Keep him away from everything."
Yeah, it's not very hard to infiltrate that prison, so.
Well,
I mean,
it can be done. So he actually pauses and basically then says to the guard that he gave this to, pick 3 others. Tell no one else where you lock him in. Only myself, Josefina, and the 3 you have picked. If anything gets brought back to us, I want as little people to know about this as possible. There's sort of a slow nod from Josefina. There's almost a smirk as he gives that order. But yeah, Juarez is then taken away. You're making your way back up to the square. More gawkers have come to show. The body of Sword Captain Voritelli is untouched. It has been left there in the middle of the courtyard, although another body has been brought next to it, which most of the rest of you would recognize as Carmelita Mondavi, sporting a particularly gruesome wound to her mouth/head. They're both sort of in the middle of the square, like lying next to one another.
The stage where Jimena was going to work, is there anything left of it?
I mean, I didn't burn it down. I was controlling the fire that was on it.
The stage is still up. There's still a bunch of bodies on it, including one that's like gruesomely charred.
Toasty.
Yeah. Over the 2 bodies of Voritelli and Carmelita, there's nobody else here. Nobody seems to want to approach this pair outside of Lavinia, who's standing above the dead Carmelita, like just peering down.
I go over to Carmelita. And I
Or
look down
Lavinia?
at Lavinia, thank you, yeah. I look down at Lavinia and I'm like, what is the proper custom to send these 2 off?
Well, they were Vaticine, so they probably should be buried. The struggle is over. She fought against fate. Whether or not she did it the right way, I'm not able to say. But contrary to a lot of my sisters, she tried to fight what was prescribed for her. Regardless of the result, that's how I will remember her.
Sounds like a warrior. I pick up the bodies.
She died like one.
Yeah. I pick up the bodies and I sling them over my shoulders. And I'm like, you know where the closest church is?
She sort of looks around a little bit and she's like, I'm not sure.
I think it's over this way.
Jimena knows, but she won't tell you.
Yeah, if you ask around, you'll get directed to.
I'm pretty sure I know where it is, and so I'm just like, come on.
There's a fairly big one close to the square, so you. That's the one where Juarez used to have one of his offices. So, yeah, there's a lot of elation. There's also a fair amount of worry. You see a conglomerate of the city's leaders. General Cardoso is there with the Grande, with the governor, who looks both steeled and slightly scared all at the same time. Landreville is there with him. And so is Sebastian. And there's a lot of discussion. If any of you are close to that vicinity or care, like you hear, we need to take action now. When the news reach San Cristobal, they will come to us with all the weight that they can bear. And we need to be ready. You see Usha actually look towards Sebastian. There's something unspoken there. She looks a little crestfallen at that. And Sebastian sort of shakes his head and says, "It must be done. And that is what your people deserve." Mm-hmm. And she nods and says, "They're not who I'm worried about." And he says, "I know, but you needn't worry. That is my role, and that is my fate, and I will play it."
I hear the word fate, and I'm like, what?
Can Jimena hear this?
Yep. If you're in the vicinity, you absolutely can hear this.
I was like, Jen is just looking for Ricardo.
Yeah, so they can keep going. Yeah, Rethel buries them, has Lavinia say some words over them, whatever's appropriate, or we grab a priest. And then after that, I'm gonna rest up.
Too, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna rest up anyway. You know, I'm like, I cleaned up my mess.
Yeah. Now Lavinia goes with you. She found some very, plain but elegant flowers, 2 of them, that she lays on the graves and then says, "Their chapter is done. They died for what they believed in, and that is that. Our story continues." Retold, you do not fail to catch the "our" part of this sentence.
Do I hear too? Because I would have come along.
Oh, sure.
But meanwhile, back in the square.
Yep. Yeah, Jimena, you hear all of this.
She kind of stops and just sort of stares and like runs back what motherfucker said a minute ago. Right. And it's just kind of like, huh. And she just kind of stands there and waits to see if Sebastian notices her.
Notice me senpai.
No, you basically you get 1 glance, 2 glance, and eventually he breaks away from the conversation and takes off his hat and approaches. Rain patters his bald head as he comes closer to you, his hat held to his chest. And he looks at you like he has an understanding of what the look means. And he finally says, It looks like you have something to ask me.
I'm sorry. The rhinoceros is running across the ceiling right now. It's very
Dum, 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 dum.
That is
Jesus.
that is a special rhinoceros.
Can you hear that at all?
No,
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
your
It's
mic
like,
doesn't
who lets
pick it
their
up.
Freaking
Maybe.
I can
kids
hear it.
10,
Maybe.
30.
I don't know
You can hear it,
why,
Amanda?
but I can hear it.
Oh, I mean,
weird.
if I had my headset
just
on,
hear
I probably would hear it too.
Right.
I think I heard it, but yeah, it didn't
Right.
sound like what I thought it would.
My speaker did not
Yeah.
pick it up,
No,
or maybe I
it's
just
just-
didn't catch it.
Stomp, 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 stomp.
Ugh.
There it goes. But she kind of, when he says that, she kind of looks at him and she's like, I do, but I'm not quite sure what it is yet.
Fair.
And she just kind of looks at him and she's like, for now, I'm just going to choose to trust you. But and she just kind of there's nothing after that. She sort of peters off.
Your heart makes a little pitter patter as he reaches to grab your hand
Aw.
and says, I will accept your trust temporarily, but you deserve better than that. He pauses for a second and looks over his shoulder, and you see that Usha is there, like she looks worried. He pauses and says, this will come out eventually, and where we are going, there may be no return. If I'm to die on this path, I do not want to die with regrets. I would not want you to have the wrong impression of me if I was to pass. He sort of looks around. You see that a few more folks are sort of listening in, even though they're trying to make it seem like they're not. But he looks just at you, Jimena, like it is just meant for your ears only, even if a lot more people are listening in. And he says, I'm fortunate that I get to live the life that I want now. I've done things that I'm not proud of. But Usha gave me a second chance, and I intend to repay her by fighting for her and her people. I've known war for good and ill, and I fought in the conflict between Castile and Montaigne, but not on the side of Castile. I was born in Montaigne. I rose through the ranks, became a very capable soldier, and I was one of the trusted of l'Empereur. I am one of the people that the Inquisition are looking for. Ushia hid me from them.
Wait,
But
I remember this.
In my previous life,
Oh,
was known as General Auguste Chénier.
Oh, he's that motherfucker. Shit. Well, actually, Jimena probably doesn't actually care that much.
That comes with the baggage that you know. But let me tell you, I am guilty of many things, but not everything that the church accuses of me. If knowing this, you can still hold it in your heart to fight by my side, then I promise you to be worthy of this trust.
Wow.
If that makes you want to strike me down, then by all means, it would be an honor to have you take my life.
Jimena kind of looks at him and she's like, I am Castilian, and I was raised here in Castile, but I don't know actually a lot about this war that happened.
Oh, Virginia does.
Like, Jimena honestly doesn't, because the village she lived in was out in the boonies in the mountains, and they were busy being fire witches hiding from the church. So.
Yeah, Sebastian is the reason why Virginia hates Montaigne people so much.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It is
But
fascinating.
this is different.
Jimena, she's basically like, I've heard your name before. I know that it's supposed to trigger something in me, but it doesn't quite. And if the worst thing about you is that you're French,
there's a peal of nervous laughter at that.
She's like, I've heard the stories, but my own experiences with the church tell me not to believe everything they tell anybody.
He pauses and says, let me put it this way. I used to fight for God and country. I believed in the cause, but I've grown disillusioned. L'Empereur is a madman and not worthy of serving. Lucia gave me a new cause and people to care about. So I am making amends here by trying to correct some of my past mistakes. And hopefully, when it is my time, enough of those deeds will wane the balance to wash some of the error of my ways. But I owe everything to the people of San Felipe, and I'm ready to bleed and die for them if I have to. So are the few of my loyal men who came and defected with me. I believe you're familiar with my best scout, in fact, although he doesn't do too much around warfare anymore. Is happy to be in service now.
Xavier.
Oh, like, what?
Virginia knew he was a tricksy bitch.
I'm like missing all of this, though.
Yeah. Xavier earned his retirement.
Yeah, because when he says that, Jimenez sort of looks at him for a second and then like has like a, oh. And then when he says that, she's just like, that explains a lot. And then she just sort of, how tall is Sebastian?
He's pretty tall.
Pretty tall.
He's a tall, beefy slab of chocolate man.
Of rye bread.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He's sort of middle aged, but you know, got that good silver fox look about him.
Got that nice smoke on him.
Yeah,
he's sitting in that barrel, getting.
He's bald, but he's got the good mustache and beard. You know, good salt and pepper.
Yeah, no. I mean, Jimenez like 5'7". She's normal height. She sort of gets up on her tippy toes and like sort of reaches up and gives him like a rub on the top of his head.
He doesn't fight it. Yeah. There seemed to be something endearing about that.
She just kind of says, I told the same thing to Rodrigo. Like, I wasn't there. I don't know what you did. I personally don't care what you did. So to me, we're fine. But I know some people care what you did. So that's your bag, not mine, but we are good. And also Pat's.
I appreciate that. And again, I tend to repay the debt by using the skills I have built in service of San Felipe. Whatever it takes.
I know I can make it through.
So yeah, that conversation happens as your group walks back into the square.
There's like a weird mood.
Yeah, there's
suddenly.
a weird
what the
mood.
Fuck? Did I miss something?
For once, it wasn't me. Just kidding.
I'm locating my silverware, and my axes.
Sorry, Dethel. Some of them is still up top.
Yeah, it's all over the
no,
place.
it's fine. Rethel's just wandering around like an idiot. Just like, oh, there's my hat.
One of your knives, unfortunately, you find the handle. The rest is just embedded in the wall.
The handle's the important part. I just like snap it off. I'm like, put a new one on.
As you snap it off, it comes out of the wall, but there's some weird grime and blood on it that shouldn't be there, but
it's gonna
somehow
stink. It's gonna stink later. That's not my problem. All right.
All right.
That knife.
Okay, so things are getting rallied around. Genia, you're going back to see Ricardo. He's calmed down visibly, although his rage at the now knocked out man in a black cloak has not smoldered. He basically finally says, "This is Irish Strovan. He used to be one of us." You may have noticed that some among the crows had differences in opinions. We've had to kill one of our own during our escape from the party we attended some time ago.
Yeah, she remembers, and she remembers the one who was like, "It's not worth it," and ran back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of us think we should have been taking the fight to the nobles and to the royalty. And they joined the group under that auspice. At this point, it's pretty clear that this is not the path we're going to take, and we've lost some people. Some of them will resurface as member of this new group. They despise that we're once again in service of leaders and nobles who they think care nothing of us, but that's a divergence in opinions, and that is bound to happen. But Strovan killed some of his brothers and sisters today, regardless of ideologies. That's a sin I'm not willing to forgive.
And she nods. Lets him talk.
And then he sort of exhales and says,
"Don't apologize."
"Go on." Say what you need to say.
She takes his hands. Remember, we are soldiers. First and foremost. And if we fight, we cannot forget what we are fighting for, even if what is in front of us makes us angry. If I see you shot, I cannot stop fighting to stop. I need to keep fighting. So in that sense, it's going to get much more loud soon. We can't let emotions get in the way of the fight. But
I
with
agree.
that being said, and her big green eyes fill up with tears, and she's like, I've never had to not think about something while fighting. Do not be reckless.
Yeah, he sort of gets taken aback by that, and he's like, I won't apologize because I promised I won't. But I will do better. I promise. I owe it to you, and you're right. It will only get harder from here. But as long as you're here, I can stay grounded.
And she just hides and hugs. Yeah.
Aw.
All right. Any other mop-up actions you want to take? This is going to be a good point to hold off until our next session. But any last pieces you want to take care of right now?
I made notes. I'm ready for next session.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think so immediately, but I'm sure like once we clean up a bit, there'll be a lot to do.
there will be a lot to do.
I
It
wonder
is
how much time we have.
quite possible that war will
We
come
probably
to
made
San
it
Felipe.
happen. Like it probably would have happened sooner if we hadn't stopped Juarez, but it almost certainly will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in the cards. All right. Get yourself a good 4 XP, a good crew.
Yeah.
So you prep for the battles to come.
That's what I made notes on.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
All right.